everybody. Just checking in with you on week 3 here in Kerala, India with our Ayurveda 40-day treatments. And we have pivoted a little bit. So the last time I checked in with you, I mentioned that I had been having 4 days of migraine. And here's what I love about what we're doing here. Ayurveda is personal. It's personal. And if you are working with somebody who really is a true healer, they are going to pivot because the body is dynamic. You can't just take a general program and go, good for everyone. It's not how it works. We want that. We think we want that because then you can market it. Then you can make it a program. Then you can get everybody involved in it. And, we tend to want to make money off of everything, especially in the West, right? Look, there's no problem in that, but you want to make the healing the most important goal. And that's what Ayurveda does. Ayurveda is going to look at the individual, do the most appropriate treatments for what that person is dealing with, and then what happens is the body starts to, we're unraveling, right? We're unraveling. So we are pulling apart. Like I told you guys, they are literally going in there and moving through those tissues, helping to remove whatever has settled in our tissues. You got to have it pulled out. And there's lots of ways to do that. So with a migraine for 4 days, which is what I had, Pradeep said, all right, we need to pivot. And he decided to add to the oil baths that we have been doing. So we are just about completed with our oil baths. So that's the body oiling. Like I said, it's like Shirodhara. Shirodhara is the oil on the forehead. It's like that, but it's for the whole body. And so the oil baths are going to be complete in about a day or so. And he added to those treatments enema. Let me just say something about enemas. Enema is going to calm down any kind of anxiety, any kind of fear, any kind of nervous system issues. In the West, I want to just mention this, we have a thing called colonics. A lot of people do colonics. I have quite a few clients that have done colonics. And I even have a couple people that they go on a regular basis and they get colonics. Okay, here's the problem with colonics. Ayurveda does not support colonics, and here's why. Yes, sometimes you need to do an enema or some sort of like a colonic that's gonna pull out the toxins, it's gonna pull out and cleanse. But then you have to go in and nourish. And if you don't go back in and nourish, then what you do is you literally dry out those tissues and you create a huge imbalance and you set yourself up for illnesses and diseases, right? Because if your tissue dries out, then you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have problems. So he recommended that we do an herbal enema. This herbal enema that we did was using the Triphala formulation, which is a traditional Ayurveda herbal blend. And so he made the decoction. He had about 2 liters of it, and then they insert it. Okay? So it goes up into the colon pretty far, and it's not painful, it's just weird. It's uncomfortable. So you do that, and all of that liquid has to go into the body. The herbs are going to do their work, and Triphala typically is for the large intestines and colon. It's going to tone, it's going to help with absorption, and it's going to help clean out. So the herbal enema is very different than oil enemas. So I'm going to talk about them just a little bit here. So he did an herbal enema for me, and here's what happened. He did that, and I started getting sick to my stomach. I thought I was going to throw up. I got lightheaded. I thought I was like having like feverish stuff, like body temperature up, down, like all this weird. I mean, it was like all of a sudden, boom, I had the flu. It was like all of a sudden I had the flu. And then, of course, I had to go to the bathroom, and it all came out, and I was really ill, and I couldn't come out of the bathroom for a while. And when I finally came out, I started to cry, and I couldn't stop crying for the rest of the day. My migraine went away. So what Pradeep said was, these physical, mental, emotional toxins are held in the body, and they get stuck there. And that herbal enema loosened it all up. Now, these are emotions that I was unaware of. They're deep. They've been held in my body for who knows how long. I don't know. But it was, we just had a conversation at breakfast today about it. That, most of the time we're just walking through our lives and we're carrying a certain amount of tension or irritation, and we just think, oh, I gotta live with that. Because it's always there, it's chronic. I just have to live with that. I have to live with this low-grade tension in my life, low-grade anxiety in my life. I'm always on high alert for what's gonna cause irritation for me or what's gonna cause anxiety for me. And it's just no way to live. It's no way to live. So what that enema did was it literally opened the floodgate. Yeah, a lot of us in the West are gonna go, no thanks, I'm out. I just heard what you just said. I heard what the symptoms were. I heard what happened. It was like that much time. Really, it was like 30 minutes to an hour of discomfort. So I don't wanna lie to you guys about what's going on over here, because this is the real deal. We are really actually healing the body. And to do that, you have to be able to pivot and work with what shows up in the body. You've got to have this conversation, and I don't mean a physical conversation, but when the body is showing up with certain symptoms, and I had migraine, I had nausea, I had all this stuff going on, then we have to address it. And that's what's the beauty of Ayurveda, is that they're going to go in and say, okay, let's deal with these symptoms. They're here. Let's add this treatment into what you're doing so that we could give you some relief and help this buildup of whatever it is to come out of the body. So it all came out. It all came out. He said, go back to your room, and I want you to lay flat on the floor. So I have a lot of issues with my sacrum, and just so you know, Vata, so any kind of Vata energy that is stuck in the body, it's typically going to get stuck in the lower portion of the belly and in the pelvis, and also the hips and thighs, upper thighs. So that's where Vata gets stuck and creates pain, creates problems. That's where most of my problems are, in that area. So he said, go back to your room, and I want you to lay on the floor, not the bed, but on the floor, because the spine needs to be elongated on a flat surface. We want the spine to be in a natural curvature. And if you get on a bed, then you've got cushion, you've got all this stuff going on. And we're trying to bring the body back into balance, make it so that that spine is flattening out. Because one of the things that has happened is I have an SI joint issue. There's all this inflammation, and my SI joint, the bone will not go back down it won't go back down into where it should be. So it's up like this. And so he's trying to get all the inflammation to come out so that it can flatten out, and we can strengthen those tendons and ligaments that hold everything in place there. Okay, so this is a lot that I'm talking about. He's dealing with a lot. So the enema pulled everything out, pulled out a whole bunch of inflammation, so physical stuff came out. It also pulled out a ton of emotional stuff. And then when I laid flat on the ground, I could feel stuff happening in my body. And we're talking subtle stuff. This is why when you're healing, you can't be exercising. You can't go off and continue with your busy life. Like, if you really want to heal the body, like if you're really in it and you want the body to heal, you've got to be able to feel it. That means if you've been holding in anxiety and depression and all of that for who knows how long, you've got to feel it. So we've got these treatments. It's doing everything it can to pull out, and then you have to be with it. So I laid there, I was with it. I felt all these like movements going on in my body, real subtle stuff. It was like I had new space in my body that I didn't have before. And so now my body is shifting and adjusting to this new space that I haven't had in a really long time. So that happened. That was the herbal decoction that he used. Then the next 5 days, he did an oil enema. Now, oil enemas are, he does it after the oil body treatment, so the oil bath, and then he does a very small amount of oil. It's not a lot. You don't even feel it. So the oil enema is going to go in and it's going to start nourishing. It's going to be absorbed. So if you have a lot of depletion going on in your body, you're dehydrated, you've got pain, you've got especially pain in your low back and in your pelvis, you really need the oil enema, after the herbal one, of course, but you really need it because it's going to start soothing and nourishing. So oil enema. Now, all these treatments, he does that. Then we did another herbal enema, again to flush out, and then back to the oil enemas. Meanwhile, we're doing the oil baths, and then at afternoon treatments, he's been doing what's called a dough basti. So dough basti is when they make dough, kind of like they're making, like they're gonna make some rolls or something, but they use the dough and they place it on a problematic area on your body. So mine is the SI joint. They take the dough, they place it on my sacrum, and then they use specific oil that is meant to heal that area. So it's doing a couple of different things. All these treatments that we are doing right now are meant to pull out the toxins, get the inflammation out of the body, get the excess heat, which is showing up as inflammation, out of the body. And it takes time to do that. So all these treatments that we're doing right now are heavier, they are nourishing, they are going to start helping disperse all that inflammation. So the dough basti gets placed on my sacrum, and then I have a little bit of an issue here in my cervical spine, so they just do like a pad of oil and place it on there. The oil is so hot. It almost feels like I could be getting burned, but it's not at that point. But I'm like, oh my gosh, if it was any hotter, I would be like off that table. So they do that. They put the oil in the dough basti, let it sit for a few minutes, then they take it out. They use like a cloth, they soak it up, pull it out, then they add more hot oil, and they do that for about 45 minutes on that area. So here's what has happened. I've been doing about over a week of the dough basti, and all that inflammation, all that discomfort that I have in my sacrum, and it's chronic. I have pain with it every day. It is lessening. I'm starting to have different sensations there. I've had a constant burning that I thought was from my shingles and nerve damage that I have from shingles. And I'm starting to discover that most of it is because of my SI joint. So the SI joint is, you know, if you look at a sacrum, here's your sacrum, and then your SI joint here is on the side. And what has happened for me is my SI joint has popped up and it won't go back down where it should be. So it's up. Every time I was doing yoga, teaching my yoga classes, I was irritating that further, making it worse. Every time I went and got adjusted at the chiropractor and they do that side move adjustment, I was making it worse. I cannot do any asymmetrical stuff right now. It all needs to be symmetrical so that that SI joint can go back into place. Now, all this inflammation that is here, these treatments are pulling out the heat, pulling out the inflammation. And as that inflammation gets pulled out, eventually this, and it's already happened, starts to go down on its own. It's not being forced. So yesterday, he did a little bit of work to see where I was at and found that not only am I able to receive deeper tissue work because of all of this nourishment that my tissues have been getting, but I've got enough of the inflammation out of the body to where that bone is naturally dropping back into place where it should be. The other thing that the dough basti is doing is it's strengthening the tissues. It is strengthening the ligaments and the tendons that are there holding in that SI joint. Because the SI joint, that whole area there, there's really only two muscles that are connected to the SI joint, and that's the piriformis and the gluteus maximus. That's it. All the other rotators are really not connected to the SI joint. So I need to, first of all, you can't really exercise the piriformis. You can exercise the gluteus maximus, but in order for me to strengthen the gluteus maximus, I cannot do any like out to the side or asymmetrical stuff like a lunge. Everything needs to be symmetrical, but we can't even exercise right now because we're in this healing process of letting the body heal, which means we are not doing anything else. Everything we are eating, everything we are doing, which is, there's a lot of downtime. I've had a lot of people say to me, wow, I don't know if I could handle all that downtime. But it's important. It's kind of like when you're sick, your body makes you sick, you're in bed, you're just gonna lay there and let your body heal because you don't have a choice. Your body's forcing you that. Well, we're not in bed, but it's walking. Like I walk around in nature. I'm not doing any yoga right now. I'm not doing anything strenuous. I'm taking naps. Everything I'm doing is quite mellow because I want the healing to work. Okay, so enemas have been added this whole last week to what we are doing, and it is making a huge difference. My client has also been doing the enemas. His are different, and they're dealing with different issues for him. So he's not getting the same herbal stuff that I'm getting. He's getting different stuff, but he is getting it. He also has some imbalances in his nervous system that need to be settled, and so that's why the enemas are appropriate for him. Resting after your enema has been very important part of this treatment, and just resting in general. And also, these are heavy treatments, so I'm still feeling quite heavy in my emotions, just in my body. So if you have depression that goes on with you, you're going to sink into that. And that's because the body is dealing with it. It's physically dealing with it. And so you'll feel that I have had interesting thoughts arise in the last few days, things that I haven't thought about in my past that are coming up, and things that I regret, things that I did that I know wasn't cool, and I did these things, and no excuses, but I'm processing all of that. I'm not searching in my mind, going back and saying, oh, what can I go back? I'm not doing that. It's rising up. It's doing it on its own. So I'm dealing with the memories that surface as they do. I'm just allowing myself, the most important thing is to be in this moment, be with this process. And I want to just continue to let everyone know that if you're really serious about healing, then you really need to give yourself time to heal and be kind with it. And there's such an impatience that goes on. And one of the other things I want to talk about is, Pradeep here in India said that the same thing that is happening in the West is actually happening here, even in Ayurveda. So if you were to come to India and go to an Ayurveda hospital or an Ayurveda clinic, they are realizing that where they make the money is they're going to do the treatments because that's where you make money, and they're going to push product because that's where they make money. So to find a true healer is really challenging, and that's why I feel so lucky that I found Pradeep, because he is a true healer. And he is not here to push product or to make money. Now, of course, he needs to be compensated, and he is being compensated for his time and his efforts, but he is coming into it. And he even said that the way that I work with a client is I know that there is a transfer of energy that goes on. And if you've ever worked with somebody or gone to a doctor or gone to a clinician or somebody where you could tell they could care less about you and about what's going on with you, you can feel that from them. And he said that exchange is so important. He said he loves doing Ayurveda, and he wants to work with each person, and he wants that person to know he is present. He is working with them right there in that moment, listening to their body, listening to what their body needs, and also whatever else surfaces. So that is a really important part of healing. And even though Ayurveda is geared towards the individual, it's, it's like always everybody says, you're trading your time for money. You're trading your time for money. You're not going to make money if you're trading your time for money. You got to get out of that type of paradigm and move into not trading time for your money. Well, the truth is, that's how you heal. That's how you heal. And so what he is doing is a big deal because he is trading time for money. And it's not about the money. It's about helping and being of service and being a part of healing this world, healing the individual. So that's our update now. We are shifting away from oil baths in the next couple days and the enemas. We are moving out of that. There's another big process happening that I will talk about once it happens. And then we are going into what's called the rice therapy part, which is about strengthening and lightening. So that's going to be exciting once we shift into that, because we've been in the heavy part, and it hasn't been that bad, just so you know. And we are going to move into the other part here soon, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to feel light. It's already starting to shift in that direction as I speak, because we've been processing for 3 weeks and just letting the body do nothing but receive these treatments and rest in it and rest in whatever surfaces. So that's what's happening now. Completed 3 weeks. We have another 3 weeks to go. We're at the halfway mark, and I'm looking forward to telling you about the next treatments that we move into, because there's quite a few that are going to be happening in the next week. And so that's going to be exciting to talk about. And thank you guys for being on this journey with me. I'm really trying to be as detailed as I can, explaining what's going on so that you really have a really good idea of what Ayurveda is about, how does Ayurveda really work, and why do they do these treatments the way that they do? Well, because we want to get to the root cause. And if you don't get to the root cause, your symptoms just move from one part of the body to another part of the body, or start impacting deeper tissues and other systems, and now you're sicker. So we got to help that body heal and remove the inflammation, remove the imbalances so that you have happiness. And that's the whole idea. That's why we're here. Okay, see you guys in a week and peace out.